Hello, it's the 17th of September, a rather warm and pleasant, a little bit cloudy and overcast morning. We are going off very shortly on the start of a fantastic exploration through France and Spain, expecting to cover about 3,500–4,000 miles over a period of some 6 weeks. It's going to be an absolutely amazing trip. We're setting off after lunch today, probably leaving at around 2 o'clock. We're planning to drive up this afternoon to Portsmouth, and we're going to be staying in the caravan on a site called Scott's Haven campsite, which is a few miles outside Portsmouth, outside the ferry port. We're staying there tonight on a very, very basic sort of pitch, which just allows us to set up the absolute bare essentials for tonight. And we're getting up tomorrow at about 6 o'clock, and we're packing everything up, and we are leaving there by about 7:30, planning to be in the port at Portsmouth by around 8 o'clock. We've got to check in by 8:30 at the latest, because we've got 2 dogs. The check-in process is a bit more rigorous than it would be for just us. And not last time I travelled through, they actually spent more time checking the dog's passport than they did checking mine, so we'll wait and see what happens. We've got a 6.5-hour crossing on the ferry from Portsmouth to Havre, and then we are driving up tomorrow afternoon up to Paris, or just outside Paris, Cergy-Pontoise, where we'll be staying with Amy Gautier, the friend of Catherine, who I met when they came over here to Wivy about 2 or 3 months ago. And we're going to be staying with them in Paris for 5 nights. And during that time, they've got masses of special trips planned for us, so I'm told. We are going to have a boat trip on the Seine, and if I fall in, I'm going to be really insane, aren't I? And we're going to go and see a lot of the sights of Paris. I hope to go up the Eiffel Tower with the camera. I hope also to be able to go to Mass, and hopefully to hear Olivier Latry playing at Notre Dame de Paris, and lots of other places around Paris. We're going to the caves at Champagne to see the champagne actually being made, and from then on we are driving down, staying overnight somewhere near Limoges, I think, and then driving on down to Lourdes. We're planning to stay for a few days down in Lourdes and go to Mass, both in French and in English, and then we are driving through, under, over, I'm not quite sure yet, the Pyrenees, depending on what the roads look like and what we're advised when we actually get there, because of course we'll be pulling the caravan, and we'll be crossing them into Spain and going for a couple of days in Pamplona before driving on through the Picos de Europa, which is a wonderful national park, and we're going to stay at least one night there, and then we will drive on down through to Santiago de Compostela, which will be the highlight of the trip. And I anticipate that we're going to be down there at the very end of September, very beginning of October. After a couple of days in Santiago, and I'm looking forward to seeing the cathedral there, and with a bit of luck I might get to play the organs in some of the churches in the city there. We're going to be driving on down with possibly another overnight stop in Picos de Sanabria. I think I've got that right. I might not have, because I haven't got the written itinerary in front of me, have I? Then we're going to go on to where we're going to stay for the longest period of the whole trip, which will be Salamanca, which is the university city where Catherine lived and taught for some 25 years on and off. And we've got a lot of things to do there. Old friends of Catherine to see, including the man who rescued Lishka and brought her back to England for Catherine just over a year ago. And we've got lots of other people to meet and places to see. We're then going to drive on down. Oh, we're going to visit, while we're in that area, we're going to be visiting Burgos, Avila, and a few other places, I think, which out of my mind at the moment. down towards Madrid then, and spend a night or two there looking around the city of Madrid, and then drive on through Zaragoza, which will be another, probably just an overnight stop, before we get to Barcelona. Wow. And that's the only place we're going, which I'm told is going to be a tourist sort of place. And we are going to be able to see the sea there, I think. Probably the only time, apart from the ferry crossings, of course, that we're actually going to see the sea. And when we have spent a few days in Barcelona, then I might have to dig out the snow chains, because it's really getting to towards late October, and we are going to drive over the Pyrenees again to Andorra. Have a quick look at the duty frees in Andorra before we drive back into France, up through France, and a night or so in Orléans, and then we are going back to catch the ferry back to England. Doesn't take very long to say, does it? But I'm sure I've missed bits out though. But it's going to take us 6 weeks or so to do it, and it really is going to be the adventure of a lifetime. I must admit, I'm somewhat nervous. It's going to be a long way driving. It's going to be quite interesting, I'm sure, but I'm looking forward to it. So I hope to report as we go along, and also to be able to post some pictures and something of a blog on the internet. So at 10:25, I've got a bit more work to do, packing up and sorting out in the caravan before we actually head off. As you can see, the back of the Land Rover is ready. It's fairly tidy, because we've got to leave room here for the dogs. You can just see on the backs of the seats there, the yellow reflective jackets that we have to have by law in France. And we've also got the breathalyzer kits that the French gendarmerie may well look at, and everything else. There's a lot of luggage packed in 4 stackable wolf boxes there on the right hand side under that blanket, and a few more things to go in before we actually set off. And again, you can see the caravan is looking pretty tidy at the moment, because everything is packed away, ready to hit the road. And we're going to be leaving in probably about 3 hours' time. And now, as we get ready to go, we can almost, I think, witness some magic, as by remote control, like a huge child's remote control toy, I can drive the caravan out of its place. The difficult bit comes in a moment, turning it to get it into the road. Like moving very easily on the gravel. And that's it, after a bit of jiggery pokering about. Always fun to get it in and out of that entrance with the traffic rushing around the corner. But we're all hitched up, It is almost 1:30, and we said we'd go at 1:30, that is, and we said we'd go about 2 o'clock. So there we are. We had the first night in a caravan site called Scott's Haven near Portsmouth. We've got about 9 miles to go to the port. It's very early in the morning, about 7:15, and we are just hurrying up to get everything packed to go away. Well, we've arrived at the ferry port. It's just before 8 o'clock. Not a bad journey. It was 14 miles, I think, from the campsite, and it didn't take us very long. We came along some country lanes at the beginning, and then the M3, and sorry, not the M3, the M27. And here we are at the port waiting to embark, and as always, there's a queue. Still in the queue, but at least we can finally see the boat. I better get back in the car because the queue's moving on. Well, after having been searched and a problem with Sophie's pet passport, we are actually now through the security checks. There's a warship there packed up. Can't see her name. I'm now queuing still to go on the boat. Finally on board the ferry, here on the car deck. We've boarded the boat, we're upstairs, we found the cabin, which is quite comfortable, and just waiting now for the ship to sail. Looking around the harbour, warship there at anchor, and little fishing boat heading out to the Solent. And looking back towards the town. Well, we're halfway across the channel. This shot may be a little bit wonky because I'm holding the camera without a tripod, and I'm likely to be pulled on my other arm by both the dogs, and there is quite a bit of movement. You see that it's quite calm, there's quite a bit of movement there. There's cars parked on the deck up here in the open. The Land Rover is underneath where we're standing, or 2 decks down. This is the dog exercise area on the boat. In the middle of the English Channel. Calm. A little bit of rocking on the boat, but really very little to see. Looking up in this direction, you can see the bridge. If I just drop the camera down to look at the horizon, still nothing. Empty sea. Inside the boat it's like a rabbit warren, and so many corridors in the area where the cabins are. probably about 2/3 of the way into the journey. We come up onto the deck and the pet exercise area of the boat, and hounds are enjoying themselves. Sophie there trying to get off the lead. Looking back down the cars which are parked outside. Some of them seem to be facing the wrong way, and some of them are parked a bit unevenly. And looking at beyond the stern, on the horizon there, no sign of England. Standing up on the observation deck, looking back, there's one of the lifeboats. And looking down, you can see the speed at which the boat is going through the water. Looking off the helipad. No flag flying from the mast. The tricolor is tied up to it, and a few people sitting out there and enjoying the sun. And looking off from a different viewpoint, some of the cars on the car deck. England somewhere back in the distance. And you can hear Sophie shouting from up on the top deck that she wasn't happy that I was down here, and there she is waiting with Havre and niche back. Well, we're getting near the coast of France. As you can say, they've now broken out the tricolor. Very breezy, but over on the port side you can see the coast clearly. Tapers are coming in, and there's a ship going out, moving out. Impossible to hold the camera steady. Catherine taking in some culture. Really, it's very, very windy. Coming in close to the shore now. That's the high-rise apartment or office blocks. I remember coming into this port before many, many years ago. Looks as if we'll be docking very soon. We better get back upstairs, I think, to the cabin and wait for the call to go down to the car decks. Just coming into the port at Le Havre. We're waiting for them to open the gates here so that we can go down to the car decks.